A lot of people around me would describe me as a logical person. I really enjoy debating with others. I really enjoy really getting to the root of issues before I make decisions. And I very rarely act on emotion, or at least that was the case previously. Over the last few months, I've realized that logic, unfortunately, really does have its limits. You could make as many decisions as you want with logic, and more often than not, you're going to be wrong. And I was always confused about this. I never really understood why. I spent most of my life following logic and treating life as though it's a math problem. What I've realized recently, though, is that there is something within us that allows us to make the best choices. And it's actually, you could think of it almost like a mental framework. So if we were to think about logic as kind of like at this level, right? So if you're making some sort of business decision or if you're making some sort of a choice about your personal life, whatever that might be, you could use logic to weigh the pros and cons and go from there. That's what I used to do. I think that's what a lot of people do. Now, there's a step above that, which is your intuition, right? So it's what is your gut feeling? And what is your gut feeling telling you to do? And it's actually not too far off from logic as well, right? Like if if there's something in your mind that is kind of giving you this kind of a red flag or a green flag, a lot of it is based on past data, right? So for example, if you've been lied to before and then, you have a bad experience from that, you could encounter somebody else who is doing something similar. Maybe they are speaking in the same cadence to you. Maybe they are, um, they're just employing tactics that the previous person would do to you. And that is a form of pattern recognition, right? But I think there's actually a step above intuition, which I've been employing a lot to my life over the last few months. And I like to call it harmony. So it's at first glance, it actually seems to be quite similar to intuition, but it's really not. Harmony is one of those things where if you wake up in the morning and you feel like something is wrong, but you don't know what it is, that is that is really your spirit pulling you in the direction that you should be going in. And I've noticed, and this is very interesting, but I've noticed that when I notice uh, that something is unharmonious, right? Like when something is inconsistent with my values, I don't actually realize it logically until a few months later, right? Like, and I'm sure we've all experienced this. There is something off about a situation. There is something worrisome about a situation, but you don't actually realize it until, it's too late. The nice thing with harmony is that there is a feeling that you have that can't be explained with logic until later. But your subconscious recognizes that there's something wrong. Your subconscious recognizes that you should be worried about something, or maybe you shouldn't be worried about something. And that's really the cool thing about listening to your gut. Now, again, some people would argue that that's your intuition. That's totally fine. But I think harmony is a lot more complicated. It's something that is a lot more challenging to identify in the short term, um, or make sense of rather. So that's what I would say. I think that when you follow harmony and you live a life in which you can go to sleep easily at night and you can look in the mirror and you are pretty much happy with who you are, um, you're going to be okay. You're not going to you know that you're on the right path there. But if you're under stress all the time, you're panicking all the time, it's very clear that there's no harmony. Now, again, that could be. I'm not saying that's your fault necessarily. It's not. Oftentimes, there are things outside of our control. But being able to identify why you're feeling stressed out is one of the most important things because you can either fix it or you can figure out some ways to ignore it. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much me for today. So.